Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 10th episode of the Mountains of Madness podcast. As always, I am your host, Darren. Joining me today, we have Ben.
Hello.
Carl.
Hello.
And Gary.
Hello.
It's another one of those small, intimate groups for this lonely Christmas time.
Chosen the most intellectual members of our group.
I almost feel like, and this is not an insult to everybody else, but it kind of is. I feel like this is almost the core group because I feel like it's been the four of us more often than it's been a larger group.
I think it has, though. I think it's definitely been the four of us kind of relatively consistently.
Is that just commitment or because you just lead very boring lives?
Probably both.
Either way, whatever. Yeah.
Whatever works for you.
What I'm going to start doing on the videos and the uploads is I'm going to start putting Mountains of Madness featuring Logue, featuring Chikozy. So they'll get main credits. Yeah.
I just feel like they're not committed enough. That's what I'm going to run with. I feel like I do things in my life. You know, I feel like I actually have things outside of my house that I attend other than work.
I don't.
Yeah, I do every now and again, but I've made space for this commitment because I really wanted to make this work.
Yeah, I mean, it's something we talked about quite a while, so when we were doing it, it's like, hell yeah, let's do it properly, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is, also, as Gary says, yes, it's something I've wanted to do for a while. Like when I was buying a microphone for my PC to play games, I was like, well, I might as well buy one I can podcast on because that's a thing that might happen sometime. And here we are. So let's kick things off with something a little bit topical. There's been a lot of discussion about it for the past couple of weeks, and that would be Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi. Which is funny because what's annoyed me about this is when the title sequence starts or the opening crawl, it does say Episode 8, but in all of the advertising and stuff, they never mention the episode number because they don't want people to, I don't know, feel like they can't go see it.
Yeah, I think this is a trend that they've been pushed with the style of the film as well, where they're trying, for me anyway, trying to distance themselves from the original Star Wars and create this new universe, new flavor. And it feels like slowly through, I know we're kind of jumping right into it, but it feels like from the first newest, the Force Awakens, I haven't seen Rogue One yet.
How have you not seen that yet? It's been out for over a year.
I know. It's no excuse. Kind of been discouraged because every time I say I haven't seen it, Carl says...
Well, I pretty much say he's played it in the form of Halo Reach because the story's similar, the characters are similar, you know, there's no point.
Yeah.
It's pretty much the same.
So with The Force Awakens, they get the impression that they're just slowly and surely scrapping the old style Star Wars one piece at a time. And that continued into this film.
Mm-hmm.
And
I would definitely agree with that.
I don't know why they're doing it. There's loads of stuff on... Because after we watch the film, I think we could probably get a round table on our opinions, but I think it needs a second watch. But first impressions weren't great.
So I think maybe let's kick off and do maybe 5-10 minutes spoiler-free review, and then we'll put on our spoiler hats and pick apart every single aspect and minute of the film. Does that sound good?
Yeah, because yeah.
Do we want to do a rating system? Do we want to do like a number or a grade, or do we just want to?
I think so.
Numbers 1 out of 10.
Okay. Carl, I feel like you're itching.
He literally is stroking his
beard. That spoiler hat is bursting off your head.
I don't think there was one redeeming feature about the film at all. The action was just... Do you want me to give a number straight away?
Yeah, give us a number and then like a kind of a summary as to why you didn't like it, but without spoilers.
I'm going to give it a 2 because the director knows where to point a camera, and that's about it.
Mm-hmm. So you think the cinematography was good?
Yeah, that was about it. The music,
but that's not the director's choice either.
Well, yeah, whatever. He needs to sack it. He needs to take it out the back and fucking shoot him with a shotgun. The script was shit. The music was uninteresting. I can't believe that John Williams put that out. The story was boring. The characters were shit. Everything about, I don't know.
One thing I did see someone complaining about was it was almost like the score was written years ago by Williams, but it was like, you know, like cutting room floor kind of stuff. Like he wrote it and then was like, "This is shit," and then threw it on the ground and started writing more music. And they just went and
Yeah,
like picked those scraps up and were like, "This will do for another 9 films."
it felt like B-sides or something of
Yeah.
of
I,
the
I,
old
I can't
stuff.
remember anything about it.
Maybe even the sequels. You know, B-sides of the music from the sequels or something like
Yeah,
that.
even the prequels had better themes, I think,
Yeah,
than
fucking
this
Jewel
one
of
had.
the-
Sorry,
Jewel of the Fates.
prequels. That's what
Yeah.
I
There
meant.
is,
That's-
yeah, Duel of the Fates. I think is probably my favorite piece of music in Star Wars. But there's a few things in the Force Awakens that's carried over to the Last Jedi. A couple of different pieces of music that work. A couple of different themes. But at the same time,
can you
I couldn't
sing
hum
any?
them. I couldn't hum them for
Yeah.
you now.
Go on then.
I'm saying I couldn't.
Ah.
There's one. There's a Kylo Ren one. Dun, dun, dun. No, I can't even do it. Fuck. I'm just trying. It's in my
That's
head.
the thing.
That's
You're so
but-
sure of a John Williams song, like across his entire career,
Yeah.
and it feels like he wasn't even there. He wasn't even in attendance. They just
Well,
rang him and said, "Give us a CD," and he just chucked him a CD, and then they just played
Yeah.
it while the film was.
Yeah, it doesn't have the kind of memorable aspects of all his other stuff, or
I am
well,
wondering,
not
though.
all of sorry, not all his other stuff, but all his other stuff related to Star Wars anyway. Always very memorable, kind of very, you know, you'll remember it the second
Did
you
he
hear
Jurassic
it, and
Park?
it's really epic.
yeah, did Jurassic
Yeah,
Park.
did Jurassic
Did
Park.
Superman,
I mean,
Jaws.
these guys.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Like, but even just inside Star Wars, like most of that music you remember.
Yeah, I mean, I found myself when we got back after Star Wars, I was singing the Jewel of the Fates song. I was singing that in the kitchen while I was making
Mhm.
coffee. Like
He
it was the
did,
most epic cup of coffee.
He did Indiana Jones as well, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
He's a god.
Yeah.
Was.
Usually.
was.
Yeah.
No, he still is. I don't think one bad film will taint his career.
And I mean, the thing is, although he's given permission to do, not to say permission, although he is asked to do the score, it's not his final say at the end of the day. So there could be loads
yeah.
of this stuff on the cutting room floor. I mean, if you want to finish off your little,
We could talk about the Destiny part actually about that with Matty O'Donnell.
yes,
Let's just
that's
put this in quick about that.
So there's a little segue. I don't know if you've seen. Marty O'Donnell was the composer for Destiny. Did he get binned off during Destiny?
Right at
The
the
first
end.
one. So right at the end, where all the rumors about the story had just been changed and all this sort of stuff, Marty O'Donnell walks out and he was the Halo composer as well. So he's got some really good credits. Well, anyway, him and his team were posting over Christmas because somebody on Reddit had leaked all of the music of the Spheres, which was the entire composition for Destiny, and it was revealed that it was the best piece of music he's ever done, and his team have ever done, and they couldn't believe it wasn't in the game. Like it gave Destiny this new layer of identity. And
So it was a piece of music that was not used that had been leaked.
an album, 48 minutes, that wasn't used in Destiny. It was all scrapped, and Bungie locked it down, and somebody managed to find it and has now put it out. All of it, all 48 minutes, is now available to listen to, and I recommend it. Although the first 3 minutes is very much Destiny flavor, but beyond that, it's.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I don't want to sound like a pretentious dick describing this music, but my God, it comes alive. It's so good, and this is just the first track. Towards the end of the first track, after the first 3 minutes, which is just the Destiny tone we know, comes
Mhm.
alive. So I'm definitely going to listen to it. But everybody cannot stop praising it. And then Marty even replied to everybody and said, "It's fantastic that this is finally out there. So relieved that it's finally there. Although not
That's
in the
cool.
way he wanted it to be. He's so glad it's out there. So it's on SoundCloud, things like that. Definitely recommend checking it out.
I
I'll be
actually
finishing
probably
listening
will,
to
yeah.
it.
Yeah,
But
that sounds pretty interesting.
good pair of headphones, quiet hour, and you'll get lost. What it's such clever composing as well. Like every planet has its own key, and that key actually creates a Lithodian, is it? Lithod or something like that. There is a specific what's the word I'm trying to say? There is a specific scale. That's it. Specific scale that all of these keys go into, and it's the same scale that the oracles play in the Vault of Glass raid. So in the order of the planets, it's the same order of the scale that the oracles play. So, and it's in order. You got C, D, E, F
That's
sharp.
pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's clever throughout the whole way. I can't wait to listen to the full thing.
So yeah, back to Star Wars.
So, yeah.
It feels like if John Williams did do something worthwhile, they scrapped it and didn't do anything with it.
I mean, that could be perfectly possible. He could have, written what he thought was perfect for whatever scene or whatever, and they're like, "Nah, fuck this. We'll take that thing you did an hour ago in the studio. That's perfect."
Yeah, just do as a riff now, will you? Yeah, we'll use that.
Bust out the keyboard.
Yeah, I just think because of where they're going with the Star Wars franchise now and what they're trying to do with it without spoiling loads of things. Maybe they wanted to take a different direction with the music, which reinforce the old points of Star Wars to an extent. This isn't my opinion. This is just maybe what's going on.
Mhm.
And I don't necessarily agree
There
with
are
it.
there are a couple of things I would call like the elements of what makes Star Wars, and I think John Williams' music is one of those things.
Oh, for
I would
sure.
agree. Yeah.
And the problem with it is, if you want to keep a franchise going for another 20, 30, 40 years, John Williams is an old guy, and he's not going to be around forever. He won't be able to compose every single score for every single Star Wars movie. So there will be a point where that's not happening.
Yeah,
But it'll be a bad day. It'll be a dark day for the rebellion.
for sure. I mean,
You know.
he's been there for all of them. In my mind, it's kind of almost what sets the tone of the
Yeah.
films. It's it literally sets the tone, but just the way his music kind of is put with what you're seeing, it just works very well. But yeah, like Carl was saying, I didn't really feel like that with this movie, fortunately.
So Ben, what
So
would be your numerical score?
for me, after the first watch, I would probably say five out of 10.
Okay.
Because as a film, I think visually there are areas of the film which are stunning, without spoiling too much. And I was just having a look at who the cinematographer was. It's a guy called Steve Yedlin who is Ryan's. Is it Ryan or Rian?
Ryan.
Ryan, who is Ryan's go-to cinematographer. So he was with him on Brick and Looper. Um, But aside from those films, he hasn't done anything massively of note. So to look at some of the scenes in this film, I mean, just looking at the picture that Carl's posted up, again without spoiling bits of the walkers that are lined up, it's a great shot. And for him to, I think he works well with Ryan. That's probably where the two play into their strengths. Is that Ryan is a good director. He also wrote this film, which will aid him in his directing choices. But the cinematography, I think, was probably one of the best I've seen for a while.
You
Like,
know,
there wasn't sloppy shots, although they still have those transitions, which I hate. It's just lazy filmmaking.
That was a deliberate decision, though.
Yes, yeah,
That was a deliberate decision because that was Star Wars. The side wipes and like the ones where it like comes
Yeah.
back in a
where it's
circle.
all yeah.
Those
It's just a
transitions are
PowerPoint
Star
presentation.
Wars. If you have not seen Rogue One, they are deliberately not in Rogue One.
yeah, it's actually
And
purposeful.
there is no opening crawl either in Rogue One. And they're deliberate choices because they are Star Wars saga staples. The terrible transitions and the opening crawl. And when
Yeah,
you watch Rogue One without those, it's actually alarming how noticeable it is. Like you feel like there's something wrong about it in a way
It
because you're
feels like
so
it's
used to
going.
it.
Yeah, it feels like it's going from scene to scene really fast or something. You're not getting the side wipe or
It's
whatever.
like a bit jarring.
well,
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
because the sideswipe it kills all tension and all intent of the scene to an extent. But like you say, it's a Star Wars flavor and everyone's used to it.
Mhm.
So it fits them because they've made it fit. But I still don't. I don't know whether they'll carry that on once they've finished this trilogy and they move on to something else. Like you say with Rogue One, they're not there, and maybe that's where they're going to go with
Yeah.
all the spin-offs.
Well, we have
But
Solo next year, which
yeah,
I am terrified about. Um, then they have episode 9, and then there's another one, I think, an Untitled,
yeah, wasn't there a Yoda one?
possibly. Possibly, I've heard Yoda. I don't think that's confirmed. People are saying it's looking like. Actually, it might even be confirmed that it's an Obi-Wan film.
Ah,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
I'm not sure. We might have to Google that, but I think that might be confirmed.
I think it might be,
Well,
but the Han Solo one was plagued, because a friend of mine who got her first Star Wars credit officially on Star Wars Last Jedi, she was part of the art team, and the locations team, and she some of the stuff that she was saying about the Han Solo film that's out there now. That's finished, but is in post production.
Well, it looks like it's only a rumor at the moment, technically.
Like the directors changing hands, some people walking out from the crew after that had happened.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I don't know whether it's going to be like a Justice League kind of thing where they go back and they do some reshoots. Well, they did to an extent, but through post production, they might find that they'll have to go do some more reshoots and just try to piece it together. It could ruin the film essentially, but I guess we'll have to find out. But yeah, so back onto Star Wars. I think as a film visually in the cinema, I don't think 3D was necessary. I can see where it could have added in places, but it looked great. Some of the choreography in the action scenes, fighting scenes, I think let it down a bit, and some of the choreography in the other scenes, I thought were its strengths, like in the salt plains. That's quite a nice.
Oh yeah,
Quite a nice
with all
shot.
the kind of choreo or the what's
Yeah.
sort of for
It's a bit. It is a
coordination
bit.
between
Yeah,
all the little things. Yeah, it was great.
it is a bit of a spoiler, but you can sense that as they're gunning down there, based on the trails of that's behind them, you can sense the desperation and the
Mhm.
chaos that they're up against, and they're all feeling it, and you can tell it's what's happening in the film. I think it's just quite nice little visual representations through the film of what's going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, without getting too spoilery.
There was types of shots that you've never seen in Star Wars before, but it never felt un-Star Wars at the same time.
Yeah, I thought Snoke's chamber was an interesting choice because it's just red wallpaper. I don't get that. Like you would have thought it would have had a massive contrast because of his red guard or whatever they're called. To stand
But I
up, make
think,
them more imposing. But they just
and
fizzled out.
I don't know if this counts as a spoiler because you do see it in one of the trailers. But the contrast, I think, for me, was Snoke himself against all of that, where he looked all red and black and dark sidey, and then he's wearing a golden robe with slippers and a ring,
Yeah,
and he's very much not dark sidey. I mean, he looks a bit messed up, but like
looks like a Nigomaniac, doesn't he?
He's not wearing a black suit of armor or a hood, you know.
Yeah, he's not our typical Star Wars villain.
Who played him, by the way? Because
Andy Serkis.
Was it? I thought because he was. I thought it was brilliant. I did like how he was portrayed. Although I didn't like his piece in the entire film.
So want to say so many things, but we need to get this spoiler-free part finished with.
Okay, well, I'll go then, I guess.
Yeah, give us your.
I have only seen it once, so I know you guys are saying that it could definitely use a second watch, but I would probably, I don't know. Yeah, I'd probably agree with Ben saying like a 5, maybe a 6, because I feel like some of the action scenes were pretty okay. Although then again, that might be the fact that I've only seen it the first time. I thought elements of the cinematography were great, and I thought actually the use of the 3D, I thought it was actually pretty good. I kind of like the way that they're using it, just more to emphasize things. So you'll see the side of a starship destroyer or something, and then it'll look like the side of a moon, but then all of a sudden, there's a giant juggernaut passing over the top, and you're like, holy shit! And they kind of use the 3D to give you a little bit of perspective there, or stuff like that. So I did enjoy that element of it. Yeah, like you guys are saying, the music was definitely a bit lackluster, although it did sound great in the cinema because they just cranked the volume. The speakers are really good there, so it was probably a little bit forced on that front. I'm glad you guys picked that one up. But yeah, I'd say maybe like 5 or 6 for my non-spoiler review.
I think Disney's influence is more prevalent than ever for this film. There's a lot of things.
God.
There's a lot of things that I mean, you just know it's a Disney film. That's what I'm saying. I would say initial reactions, I would have given it maybe a 2 or a 3. I came out of the cinema and I felt disappointed. I felt like during the movie, there was the way certain scenes flowed and certain patterns in the movie. Like there was a moment actually. There was a single moment I think in the movie that something happened and I was just like, doesn't feel right to me. I've got a bad feeling about this kind of thing.
Was it early on?
Oh,
It was, I would say, maybe 30 minutes into it where I realized what was happening. And I was like, oh no, this is where we're going. Okay.
Yeah.
And then it took me a while to kind of accept the fact that it was bad. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Are we talking about the humor side here? Because
No, well, yeah.
for me, the humor stuck out.
Yeah, it felt off to me.
Areas. Yeah, very forced. Again,
but
no pun intended.
I feel like Carl wanted to hate the movie before he seen the movie. I didn't.
Yes,
I wanted to love the movie.
Well, you say that, but there's some films that I've always thought, oh, this is going to be shit, but I've been pleasantly surprised.
Blade Runner.
I was hoping the same with this. Yeah, Blade Runner 2049. I did not want it to happen, but it turned out to be better than I could ever hope it would be. This was just shit. Absolute shit. Within the first 5 minutes, they're cracking a joke. The fucking the character, is it Hook? Is it
Hux.
Hux.
Oh, Hux.
Like,
yeah.
He's completely changed. He's like more of a snivelling weasel, and he was like,
yeah, I thought that was a great noise.
He's even worse than what he was.
His name is Armitage.
It was.
I also feel like it's meant to happen straight after the first one, but I feel like his hair is like way longer.
Yeah. And
I watched The Force Awakens. I watched this, and I was like, well, his hair's gotten longer very quickly. But yeah, so it took me a while to accept the fact that I didn't like it, if that makes sense, you know?
Yeah, no, that's totally understandable.
And then after the cinema, I was like, I feel disappointed. I feel like I feel unsatisfied. And then a day went by, and I was like, no, I hate this movie. Like, it just took a while to sink in. I really hated it. And I was in a group chat with Gary and a few other friends, Cathal and stuff, and I was just furious. Like, I was ranting about it.
Yeah, the spam was real.
Yeah, I was just like typing out loads of stuff, just like very angry. And then come my second viewing, so I went to see it again 2 days ago. And I actually think it's improved a lot in my head. Once I've accepted what it is, the movie does things that no other Star Wars movie has done. And you've got this like almost like a choice when it comes to making these new Star Wars films. Do you do more of the same, or do you go out and take risks and make it different? I feel like Force Awakens was very safe. It introduced a few new things, but it was safe.
Yeah, it kind of
followed
the
any
formula.
arguing that. It was formulaic. There's a big weapon. We need to destroy the big weapon by shooting the weak spot. Like every Star Wars movie. This one did things differently. In the trailers, Luke says, you don't think this is not going to go the way you think or something. And that was basically the movie to me. You think things are going to happen. And you think, oh, characters are doing this thing. They're going to achieve this thing. And then this is going to happen. And then it does flip that on its head. But the problem with doing that is that you set it up and then you flip it on its head for the sake of flipping it on its head.
Yeah, it almost feels like they tease you with the formulaic kind of... I was going to say the formulaic formula. That's not a very good way to put it, but yeah.
It teases you with that formula, yeah.
And then they're like, no, psych, go fuck yourself.
You thought this was exponential? It's logarithmic, bitch.
Yeah. It's like, here's some jokes, here's some action scenes that have no reason to be anywhere near the movie.
I just feel like it didn't really serve the narrative to flip things on its head. It was more just to flip things on its head. And as a result, I think the movie feels very disjointed. I feel like we have a lot of build up to things that don't pay off. And then it feels like you've almost wasted the movie.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I felt that.
I would initially have given it maybe a 2 or a 3. I think now it's bumped up to maybe a 5. I think it's still better than Attack of the Clones.
Oh yeah, I would agree.
I think it may be as bad as The Phantom Menace, though.
I think Attack of the Clones was like the polar opposite. Without going into a review of Attack of the Clones, it was just an onslaught of rubbish,
garbage.
Of just here's this action sequence, here's this one. You can have this one as well. Oh, and then
here's a completely CGI meadow, because we couldn't go to a meadow.
There are no medals left.
We couldn't go to a field, so here's them lying on a green screen.
Yeah.
God, that movie was absolute tripe. Like, Phantom Menace has scenes now that I watch and I can't watch them. They're painful to watch.
Yes.
There was nothing that bad in The Last Jedi. But the thing about Phantom Menace is that it starts off okay, it gets shit, and then it ends very strongly. Whereas I feel like The Last Jedi starts off well and then just misses the landing entirely in many ways.
Yeah.
For me.
There is a big chunk which I would say is unnecessary and definitely driven by Disney to encourage merchandising and
Oh yeah,
toys. I mean, you could literally go through that middle hour going, "That's a toy. That's going to be a toy. That's going to be an outfit. That's going to be this. That's going to be a play set. That's a Lego set." They were literally just setting up the merchandising for the next 3 years, and then they're back into the film.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that was immediately apparent to me when I was watching it. It's just like, this is unnecessary. I don't know why they're here. I don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah.
But
But then try to
right.
teach you a lesson as well, or lessons in the movie.
Oh,
Yes.
I can't fucking deal with that. I want to go see a movie that I fucking love. I don't want you to try teach me how to live my fucking life.
That was one thing I
Like,
noticed.
stop.
They never had, throughout most of the film, they never had a lot of respect for the audience. They never allowed you to make assumptions or to think for yourself. You were spoon fed what was happening exactly, then told what to think about it.
Well, it's aimed at kids. I think that's the
yeah,
main thing.
a heavy majority of that will be because it's aimed at children, but still, The Simpsons did it very well, where there was still entertainment for adults and kids had no fucking idea what
Yeah,
was
there's
going on.
layers, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like onions.
yeah.
Because
I don't like onions.
Okay, shall we get into spoiler territory?
yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, spoiler warning. Can we put a spoiler warning up in the video feed of this podcast? Can we do that?
Yeah, I don't see why not.
like a big sound effect.
Yeah. Okay. Cue the sound effects. Okay. So spoilers. Where do we start, guys?
Right, should we start from the very beginning?
Okay.
The beginning. The music.
Let's start off with the opening crawl.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly what the opening part says. In
So
fact,
it says the
run.
first order reigns. I think it's the first line.
Yeah.
And that they're attacking the base, and Leia Organa has to evacuate it so she can call in reinforcements or something.
Yes.
But my biggest problem immediately in this film is that it calls them the Resistance, and then straight away, next line, it calls them rebels.
Yeah.
Which is not a word that's used once in The Force Awakens. And I guess the idea, right, is that the First Order destroy the seat of the Republic and destroy the government that rule the galaxy or govern the galaxy or whatever.
Mm.
And the Resistance were a group of fighters that couldn't be outwardly supported by the government because they didn't want to acknowledge the existence of the First Order. So the Resistance were secretly funded by the government to fight the First Order, but not in the public eye. But now that the government's been destroyed, I guess they are rebels suddenly because they're not supported by a government. They're not fighting for a government. They're fighting against the First Order, who are now suddenly, since the last movie, although it happens immediately afterwards, they are now the main force in the galaxy. Because you don't really discuss the fact that the First Order are taking control of planets or anything like that. It seems like they're just a big fleet.
Yeah, and it's
they don't have a base. They had Starkiller Base that's been destroyed. Like everyone's in a ship in the entire movie.
Yeah.
So how are they?
It's a big fucking ship.
It's a big ship. It's a very big ship. But how are they suddenly defined as rebels? That immediately I was like, wait a minute, what? They're the rebels now, and they start saying it through the whole movie.
Yeah, I know, it's like rebel scam.
Rebel scam.
Yeah. It's I never understood that. I didn't pick up on that in the role, but yeah, in the crawl. But that's an interesting point because they are now rebelling against the inevitable takeover of the First Order, which you never told how they got there in the first place.
Yeah,
just that they had a big ship. Oh, and now here's a bigger ship. Oh, now and here's an even bigger ship.
Yeah,
like how many fucking Lego sets? How many Lego sets of ships do you want?
And the thing about the First Order is that, like, so I've read like the visual dictionary, and it tells you that the First Order existed in the outer regions outside of charted space in the galaxy, and they built up their forces there. And Supreme Leader Snoke is incredibly wealthy and funded the First Order, right? And they would like go to outer planets and kidnap children and force them to be stormtroopers and indoctrinate them into this cult. And that's portrayed very well in The Force Awakens, where they have their Nazi-like speeches. And you have Finn saying, "I never had a name. I don't know where I came from, blah, blah, blah." But you still were like, well, who the fuck are these guys? They've come from the ashes of the Empire. In one of the novels, I think, the Empire have like one Star Destroyer that flees, and it goes to this like outer region that Sidious had been researching because he was trying to find the origins of the dark side that existed outside of the galaxy. And they were going towards that because there was like a signal beacon that was activated, and there was like resources out there, and they flee out there. And then suddenly it's like 30 years later, and suddenly the Snoke lad is here, and he's super rich, and he's paying for everything. When instead of explaining that or giving us any backstory as to who Snoke is, how is he so wealthy, why is he funding the First Order, they just kill him, and that's getting a bit ahead of time.
They dress him in gold, and then they go.
Yeah, and it's like it's an insult. It spits in the face of fans who have spent 2 years going, "Is he Darth Plagueis? Is he Mace Windu? Is he this? Is he that? Who is he?" And Ryan Johnson's like, "Surprise, bitches! Let me flip it on its head. He's nobody. He doesn't matter." And it's like, I get what you're trying to do. Yeah, it's like, I get what you're trying to do, Ryan. You're supposed to be like, well, you had the Emperor, but this is a new franchise. This is a new Star Wars. There's no big bad guy like that. You know, this is the new generation. We're burning the past, which is a constant theme. Yes. Destroying the past, whatever.
But they tell you that as well throughout the film constantly.
Oh, Jesus
Christ! Like, I know that's what you're trying to do. Stop telling me that's what you're trying to do.
And he died like such a bitch. He goes, "I can feel you igniting your lightsaber and killing your sworn enemy. Oh no, that's me."
That's so stupid for somebody who's like renowned for their like, you know, their wiseness, their like ability to use the Force to manipulate people's minds. And when I say renowned, you know, the renowned in the sense that that's kind of what we extrapolate from the few things we see him do.
From those mutual scenes that they both have.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then he's
just
like,
just like I spent a lot of time on Reddit reading fan theories and stuff. Yeah. And in the visual dictionary, there's an image of a circular tablet in the ground of the Jedi temple that Luke's in, and it's like a yin and yang kind of thing. It's like this figure, like it looks like he's meditating, with a black side and a white side split in the middle.
Yeah.
But he looks an awful lot like Snoke. And I'll send you a picture of this afterwards. Looks an awful lot like Snoke, and a theory that people came up with that I probably shouldn't have bought into. Snoke was the prime Jedi. He was the original Jedi, because it says specifically everywhere he is not a Sith. In any of the documentation, he's not a Sith, but he's powerful in the dark side. And the idea is that he set up the first Jedi Order, then realized that the Jedi and the Sith shouldn't exist. You shouldn't master one side, you should master both. And he left and like fled to the outer regions or whatever and got wounded in some sort of uproar. The Jedi continued, and that he's returned to destroy the Jedi and the Sith and to like, rule the galaxy or whatever. But the idea being that Luke is the last Jedi and he's facing off against the first Jedi, which is very thematic in Star Wars, which is opposites.
It would be
your lights and your darks, your master versus your apprentice, the first versus the fucking last. What's the name of the bad guys group? Is the First Order.
Yeah.
It would be so dope.
Like you said, it's like he made the first Jedi Order or whatever, and then he realized that, okay, no, this is actually wrong to only try to master one side of it. You're not getting the full potential out of it. What do we call ourselves? Maybe just the First Order. We take away the Jedi part, you know? We're neutral.
Yeah. There's that scene as well where he's like, Ray out. He's like trying to find the location. And I was in the cinema and I was like, oh shit. And he goes, Luke Skywalker was wiser than I thought. I know where he is now. I was like, he's going to say his home planet or something. And he fucking didn't. And I was like so ready for that. Where he's like, he's at my home planet. And everyone talks about Snoke like they know him. Han, Leia, and Luke all go, oh, Snoke had already gotten to Kylo or Ben that time. And it's just like, who is he? Yeah. Who is he?
Fucking Snokey's got there before us, same as usual.
It's funny that they give you everything on paper. They tell you everything about what's going on and what you should feel about it, except for who the fuck this guy is. That's the only thing they don't tell anybody, and they don't have any discernible knowledge in there other than this arms trade that's going on later on in the film, that we decide that
Oh, yeah.
someone's selling to both sides of the party here.
War is bad, man. These
Yeah.
people are the real bad guys. They're just using us.
Yeah.
Don't join. Blah 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 blah. It's like Jesus Christ. You can
Yeah.
see where the trilogy is going to end. Like,
Could you go back a bit further, back to the start?
back to the start. The prank call.
So yeah, the prank call that he
Yeah.
did. What the fuck was that about?
Because that ruined two characters for me, because I really liked Oscar Isaac's character in Force Awakens.
Poe Dameron.
Yeah, I thought it was great, and I really liked the way Oscar was playing him. And then Hux as well was, although he was just a Weasley fella, he was quite imposing in Force Awakens. He played it quite well. And then in this one, Poe is now.
I can hear you, and you hear me. I think the joke was fine, but then they just draw it out too long.
It was
Yeah.
25 seconds or
But
something.
you got Poe in The Force Awakens when he gets captured by Kylo Ren, and Kylo like leans down to him and faces up against him. He goes, "There's a silence," and he goes, "Who talks first? Do I talk first, or do you talk first?" And that's funny. A very
I
similar
like
type
that.
of joke. A very
Yeah.
similar type of joke. But this one's just stretch it out and out. And he's like, "Hello, hello." He goes, "Yep, still holding. Still holding."
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would have been
You're
so
like,
bad.
better if he referenced the Force Awakens,
Yeah.
and there was just a bit of silence, and then he goes, "So do I talk first, or do you?" That would have been funnier,
You
because
can-
everyone would have clocked.
You can just imagine the 6-year-olds giggling their little selves
Well,
there at cinema,
Yeah.
and then Disney going, "Yeah, ticking it off the boxes."
Yeah, I mean, the whole point of it was it was a delaying tactic, but there were cleverer ways to do that, and you don't have to physically have the 25 seconds in the film as 25 seconds, however long it takes to fill up that bar he was trying
This
to
is
say.
another thing that pisses me off in this movie, is that it's very inconsistent as to what things need to be charged up and what things don't.
Yeah.
He was delaying so he could charge up his engine so that he could drive a little bit faster.
I don't know.
But then they never need to charge to go into light speed, which is a lot
Yeah.
faster than what he did. He goes, "Punch it, BB-8. Whoa, I'm going so fast now, but not nearly as fast as every other fucking ship that we've ever seen in Star Wars can go."
just
like, what?
faster than these turrets can shoot at me.
Yeah.
That's it.
Should be engaged.
We can't shoot him
turbo
because
drive.
he's too small, which is convenient because that's like literally in The Force Awakens when him and Finn are escaping. They need to destroy the cannons because the cannons can shoot them. And then they have other missiles that they shoot at him that they have to dodge and blow up and stuff. But in this one, it's like, no, we can't hit this guy.
We're on
Damn shame
one of the
those
biggest ships in the world in
Yeah.
the galaxy.
Like, it's a damn shame those anti-artillery guns we hit can't hit the fucking artillery. Or
Yeah.
not artillery, infantry, like.
Yeah, I like the fact that the bombers that they have.
Yeah.
That all the bombs going off is only enough to blow up the individual ship that carries them when they blow up, except for when they all drop out and hit a much larger ship, then the entire ship blows up.
Yeah.
Because they're like right next to each other and they're like blowing up.
Yeah.
But only
Also,
that one blows up.
Why do they fly the bombers so close that if one of them collapses, it will hit one next
Yeah.
to it?
Yeah.
Oh, why don't you have the one bomber out?
Or where the fuck did gravity come from when they just drop the bombs in space?
They just drop them and
Yeah.
they fall.
and
It's
they
like,
just
wow.
fall on the thing, and the doors
Oh my
open,
God,
and this
yes.
girl's breathing in a vacuum, and she's fine. she's
I was just about to say that. Like,
stand.
That's
so ridiculous.
weird.
Yeah.
Also, the
But
whole
apparently-
scene where the remote is there and she's like kicking it and kicking it and kicking it and
Oh,
kicking it and
God.
kicking it
Should've been
and
up there
kicking
in
it
2
and kicking
seconds.
it and kicking it, and then it falls and it goes
Yeah.
past her head, and then surprise, she catches it because
She
I was
reached
really
around. What was that about? It's like, why did it not just land on her and she catch it? There's no drama added for her being.
why
being-
is there
being
not a
reach
button
around.
down the bottom to release the
Yeah.
bombs?
What's
Why
that
is there
platform
not a
even
little
for?
fucking
What's that
thing?
character there for? Why is it?
She's
Oh,
the
she's
sister.
she was
fucking
there.
sister. A
She was the
fucking
sister
sister.
of Rose. Yeah.
Yeah, and what was the necklace about? It had no relevance whatsoever.
Oh, it's
except
called
that it was her
Doctor
sister.
at some point, but they didn't need to have that
It's-
Yeah,
anyway.
but they didn't need to have that.
Yeah,
that's,
no,
that's
because-
my point. It's
Why wasn't that character fucking Lando instead?
Yeah.
Why
It was
didn't
hard
that
to-
particular
yeah.
character they added have the fucking thing to
Well, at
like
the same
get
time,
in?
same time, if Lando got them in and then was like, double crossed you again, you'd be like,
Well, no,
seriously,
they could take that part. They could have taken that part off. Yeah, and he just goes, this takes me back to 30 years ago.
I do love the fact that Finn has no purpose in this film whatsoever.
Yeah, what
Oh
the
my
fuck?
god!
I mean, he
He had
literally
such
was
a good
it was
arc.
such a yeah,
in the
it was
first one.
such a good one in Force Awakens. But
He
this
was
is
so good, and I hated him in this movie. They
yeah.
give him this lame sidekick, and then like at the end, you think he's going to sacrifice himself. That he's stopped running, and like he flies into the cannon and blows it up, and blah blah blah. And no,
Yeah, I
they
hate to
couldn't
say
even do.
it,
They
he
couldn't
should
even
have
do
died
that.
there. He should have
Oh,
died.
I actually would have enjoyed
It
his
would have,
arc if
it
he'd
would have
died.
been yeah,
Yeah,
been
it would have been
insane.
great, I think.
There's so many missed opportunities with little bits like that bit with the cannon, the fight that we'll move on to shortly, and then the whole training thing, Ray's
What training?
entire
What training?
training.
Okay,
Yeah.
hold on. I have so much Skywalker in this, but let's just finish this little bit.
Okay.
Then Poe Dameron blows up the big ship, and he learns then that he shouldn't be a big hotshot pilot, and he gets demoted. And they're like,
Yes.
"Listen to your orders. You may have killed this big ship, but now we've got no fleet, which is really convenient for later on in the movie." And that's like begins Poe's arc, I guess, in this towards leadership, because apparently when you demote him from commander to captain, he's still able to lead your troops later on.
Yeah, apparently everybody still listens to him.
Yeah.
You are out of the
But
fucking rebellion.
I guess what they're doing is like Poe's going to be the leader of the blah blah blah, the rebel resistance of rebels, whatever they are. Rey's going to be the new Jedi. Ben Solo's going to be the new bad guy. Like everyone's replacing the previous people, you know.
Yeah, but I think it'll be a little different. I don't think Poe's going to be the leader because they're making such a strong push about female strength and characters that I think Rey will be the new leader of the Resistance.
Yeah, but
And
they had a whole
still
scene where like he's like, "Follow me" at the end, and it cuts to Leia, and she's just like, "What are you doing? Follow the guy or whatever." Which is basically her. Like that was meant to
Yeah.
be the torch passing on. I
Yeah,
thought.
handing over
actually,
the
that's a good point.
leadership or
That is a
whatever.
good point. Yeah.
I have seen the movie twice though, so like I might be at times I'm like, but remember this detail that I only noticed the second time I watched it.
Yeah.
So okay, so then we cut to Rey handing Luke the lightsaber.
Oh God.
And everybody for the last 2 years, there was two things I wanted to see: what Luke would say,
And what he would do.
and who the fuck Snoke is. They were the big ones for me.
Yeah.
And what does he do? He throws the fucking lightsaber, which is a moment that makes everybody laugh. And I laughed as well. And I thought,
Yeah.
oh yeah, subvert the expectation. There's nothing that they could have written for Luke that would like, you know, meet expectations at that point. For 2 years you've been waiting. Like what could he have said that you were like, that's maybe you again? Oh, you know, or I remember you, or it's good to see you again. How's it going? And be like, oh shit, he knows. That could have been cool, but also predictable at the same time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but even the way that they've done this movie, if they did put in something like that, they would immediately explain it again after and ruin it.
Yes.
You know?
The only mystery that carried on was what was Luke thinking, because when he threw the lightsaber out, it was such a soft, just a little toss over the shoulder. It made no sense. Like if he was such against that, maybe he thought, is this the only reason she's come here, and then just tossed it and thought, I'm not interested. But I would have thought if he was that set against it, he'd have launched it into the ocean. He'd have just absolutely pelted it across.
No, that is like why the fuck do you give a map to the rebels in the first one with his location if he didn't want to be found in the first place?
That's a very good point. Yeah,
What's the fuck's that about?
that's a very good point.
It's like, it's got
He's
his
just the
location,
king of
Luke Skywalker, but it turns out, I
Yeah.
don't want to be found.
Yeah.
Then why the fuck can you make a fucking map where you are, you dickhead?
He made the map when he left to find the first Jedi Temple, and I'm guessing then that the answers he was looking for there were so bad that he decided he's done. Maybe,
but he just say in the film, I didn't come here to do something.
I
came
came
to
here
do
to
something
die.
else.
He said I came here to die.
I'm like, then why
in the
don't you
visual
fucking-
dictionary, it tells you that the robes he's wearing, the white robes, are for conducting a sacred Jedi ritual. And then he actually takes them off and changes into the darker colored robes. And he puts them on again when he's going to burn down the tree.
Yeah.
And then he takes them off again. Or maybe he keeps them on to the end of the film. But everyone thought that maybe it was suicide. And at the moment where she meets him on the cliff, he's about to kill himself.
Maybe. I don't know. It's not actually something I noticed. Him changing.
Well, yeah, but I wouldn't have noticed either unless I had read beforehand that the
Yeah,
robes
yeah.
were for an ancient Jedi ritual or whatever the word they use. And then she goes and like chases Luke Skywalker and follows him, and he closes the door. And he's like, fuck off. and then she goes and gets the lightsaber back, and you first meet the fucking porgs.
Yeah, I hated them. Totally unnecessary.
But
just
I
like cash
went to
grab.
see it again with my family, and my sister, my wife, really enjoyed them. And it's like, of course you did. Like, they're the
Yeah.
Ewoks.
Yeah.
And they're the...
Yeah,
You
they're
know.
they're the new cuddly toy that everyone's gonna have for
Mhm.
the next 5 years.
Exactly.
Christmas baubles.
Yeah, cute. It's just like, yeah, they don't need to be there.
Yeah, and then you have Chewbacca arrive, and then they're like, "Oh, Han Solo's dead," right?
Yeah,
And then,
which I felt like was a bit of a brush over.
oh yeah, but
I never
they did
felt
that
there
in
was
Force
enough of-
Awakens as well. No
didn't
one's
feel like there was
cried. I
enough
haven't
of
seen
it.
anyone cry about Han Solo.
which is a bit shit.
Yeah,
I think given his status over the original trilogy, it's
Maybe the
just-
actor's just that good enough to cry.
Christ. I don't know. It seems like Ben is the most upset by
yeah,
Han
Ray
dying.
and Kylo were fucking bawling their eyes out this entire
Yeah,
film.
but everybody else, like, whatever. You know,
you
we see
knew him for like less than a week.
Yeah.
Well, Ray anyway. And
Yeah.
then like this starts off this reoccurring thing where Luke Skywalker likes to leave rooms or likes to leave the scene. There are so many scenes where Luke's like, "I'm saying something dramatic, and now I'm leaving," and he just walks away. He does it throughout, like literally every scene with him. Nearly, he angrily or upset. And he's upset and he leaves and walks away. And then there's such a scene where he's like walking and he's like milking this creature. And
Yeah, what
like,
was that about?
going on the big what's it called? The big stick thing. What?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what that was for. That was just to acknowledge the fact that this is how he survived on an
Yeah,
island.
this is what I've been living off.
Titty milk and fishing.
And the fucking
That was it.
and the fucking beast looks at fucking Ray, wants some.
Yeah, she looks away in disgust.
It's green milk instead of blue milk, and
Yeah, that was something.
throwback or whatever. But it's just like, and then Ray's just following him around, and he's like, "I don't have time for you. I'm going to walk away."
I don't have time for you. I need to fish or something.
With the world's
Man.
biggest rod, why don't you just go down to the coastline?
Why did he jump across?
Why didn't you use the fucking force? Use the force to levitate him out the water instead
Well,
of fucking.
the whole thing was a gave it up, didn't he?
Fuck that.
And then we have the whole scene with Snoke and Ben, and he's like, "Oh, you're shit, and you failed me, and I was wrong about you because you killed your dad, like I told you to. But now I've decided that you're shit." Which is like standard manipulation 101, right?
Yeah.
And then Ben's like, "Get me my ship," and he like destroys his helmet, and then he nearly kills Leia, and then he does.
But that part where he says, "Oh, take that stupid mask off," or whatever it is, I'm like, hang on, weren't you the one feeding his ego in the last film? Like, oh, you're going to be just as good as your father who wore a mask, your fucking granddad who wore a mask and shit like that. Like, yeah, I'm like my granddad because I've got a mask. What the fuck? It's like the director never watched the last film. He's just like, I've read through like a brief synopsis of it. Here's what I think is going to happen.
Yeah, there's loads of stuff where the narrative just doesn't continue, but the destroying of the mask is destroying of the old character archetypes from the old Star Wars. It's like, oh, now the bad guys showing
Don't
us his
hide their
face.
faces. Yeah.
Yeah, no hoods on Snoke, no cloaks, no masks, no helmets. At the beginning, I did feel like, can I just bounce back actually to the bit where they're doing that prank? I did feel like I was watching Spaceballs when
Yeah,
it first started up.
Spaceballs. Yeah,
I was like,
that's the
please don't do a jammed radar joke. Please don't do one of
the
those.
fucking dark helmet.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, back to that. It's just out with the old all the way through, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Smash the helmet.
It felt
Take
that
your
way,
cloak
yeah.
off. You can't dress
And then
in
he
black.
like
Have to
tries to
dress
kill
in black.
Leia, but he can't do it. And then the other guys blow up the ship, and they kill all of the commanders of the Resistance after loads of their fleet are destroyed. And like Poe
So-
loses his ship as well.
Why did they not just let it lie with Leia at that point? Because think the only thing she came back for, which she could have easily been replaced because obviously she was in a hospital for most of the film after that. The only thing she came back for, was to shoot what's his face
Poe.
and then to say goodbye to Luke. Luke could have done that from a distance anyway. Could have visited a hospital bed.
Mm-hmm.
Why did they not just let Leia?
They
die?
would have had to do reshoots because she was
Yeah.
in. Yeah, they would have had to do reshoots. But
And
I
do
think-
reshoots.
Well,
Films
I
like
think-
this
they
have
could
done
have
it.
CG'd her face while she was laid in the bed, and and just said goodbye, because that would have been a little bit better than other
Yeah,
bits.
because that seems like the perfect opportunity if they're going to use the CG to actually, reenact her. It seems like the perfect opportunity to do it. Her unconscious in a bed. Like,
She's the only
perfect,
one.
you know?
Or blown
She's the
into
only one
space.
except Chewbacca that like survives.
I
And
know.
unfortunately, she's passed away in real life.
Yeah, I
And then
don't
she
know what they're
turns
gonna do
into
for the
fucking
next film.
Superman.
Oh,
Yeah, what was
Jesus
that about?
Christ! That's Superman.
Inexplicable. That what was that?
Like we were talking earlier, like how is her gravity? How is her blood not boiling?
How
Yeah.
did she not just
The
instantly
atmospheric
die?
pressure is so small in outer space, lowers the boiling point of your blood to less than your body temperature, meaning your own body should boil your blood. You should die
Not if you're Superman.
immediately.
Not when you got the Force. Well, they could have made. She could have like said something like, "Oh, it's a trick I learned from my brother" and shit like that. But
Well, I mean,
Yeah, no explanation whatsoever. And then they open the
she
door.
has used the Force in The Force Awakens as well, but like,
Yeah, we know she.
not like Superman shit. Like,
yeah,
And she goes straight to a door and opens the door, and they let her in, even though there's like a vacuum on the other side.
Yeah.
But because she was literally blown out of a hole that destroyed the entire bridge, and then she goes and opens the door, and it's fine.
It's all
and
grand, yeah.
they
Should have
killed
ripped the ship apart.
Admiral Akbar.
Yeah,
no one cares about him anyway. Fuck him.
it was a
No,
twat.
he should have been the person that took over and flew the ship into
Well,
the
yeah.
supremacy.
Well,
Yeah.
it goes back to where I want to touch on shortly. Is that they were reinforcing female strength and characters and power through, which they did kind of in the original trilogy, but they're trying to remove this masculinity around Star Wars.
Yeah.
And
It feels that
reinforce
way.
the theme, which I haven't got a problem with. Don't get me wrong, but that's what they were doing. There were more logical ways to take certain pieces, and they decided to take a female, like you say, put Admiral Akbar to. That'd have been great, because this admiral, this other bit
And
came from nowhere.
they're like, Admiral Akbar, what are you doing? And he goes, I'm setting a trap.
Yeah, yes.
And it's like
Exactly.
character development. It was a trap. Now he makes the trap.
Yeah, and
Full circle.
instead they get this woman that nobody knows who come from. They even clarify that she's not a previous Star Wars character by asking who the fuck are you, where have you come from?
Yeah.
And then they give her
from another ship.
the saving grace of saving some of them, because she's a bit fucking slow on the uptake.
Also, she does this whole thing throughout the whole movie where he's like, "Oh, you got demoted. You don't need a plan," and he starts staging a coup. And even at that point, she's not like Poe. There's a planet like literally out the window. Like look out the window.
Yeah.
I
It's
have a
so
plan.
bizarre.
Strange.
But why did she watch so many ships get blown up before she decided I've got to fucking do something here? There's a reason I stayed back on.
That was something that I considered as well. She's like, I know, I can fly my ship into that ship. Holy shit, that's a great idea.
Because why did she stay back in the first place?
Yeah, like what was the plan? She was like, fuck it, we'll just cruise it out. Like
Yeah,
nobody
she
will
run out
know.
of fuel and then die. It's like,
Why didn't they get one ship and blow up the Death Star by going through light speed?
Yeah.
They could have done that at the fucking like every chance there's been a big ship. You sacrifice one rebel ship that can go light speed, and you just drive into it, and then it blows up. Apparently,
And
See,
this
in
is-
my sorry, Ben.
I was just gonna say, and this was already when this was before, so they clarified before that they like killing people, but then as soon as Finn, who has no part in this film, decides to have a part in this film, like nah, he's still irrelevant, and they just crash him off, and then give him a love interest in Rose, which makes no sense.
Because he's so obsessed with Rey.
Yes, and vice versa.
My biggest problem here, though, is that from my understanding with Lightspeed, you plan your journey, right? And you need to have like a straight line, straight through to where you land. You can't actually go at Lightspeed through it. I think that was the whole point of doing the Kessel run in 12 parsecs, was that you had to... Kessel, I imagine, was like a big asteroid field or something, and he could Lightspeed through it in the minimum amount of distance without destroying the ship.
yeah, you straight line, like you go into a different
Yeah.
state of existence.
Like,
or whatever.
canonically, it makes no sense to be able to just go, I'm going to go through that ship, because it would be like, no, you can't, because there's something blocking the way. You can't, I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
so
because like
stupid.
either way, up to this point, you would have thought that if that's a possibility, you take a comparatively small ship and just crash it the fuck into a giant ass. What was it? A dreadnought? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, that'd be it. It's like,
No,
oops,
it was Snoke's ship.
let's just make a
Yeah,
little
it's
dent.
a Snoke ship.
Yeah,
biggest
yeah.
ever ship we've seen.
Yeah,
It
you
was,
you just fly a fucking comparatively small ship into this ship, and it explodes like a motherfucker. Have we been able to do that this whole time? What?
I've got to admit though that scene where it all kicked off, it was brilliant.
Oh yeah, no, I thought it was well done. It was really quiet, and you don't really. Well, maybe you do. Like obviously, second time around, you know what's going to happen, but it's not immediately clear what she's going to do. You're like, what's going on? And then you're like, oh shit, she's going to crash it into it, and then it's like perfectly quiet, and
Oh yeah, it
like
was
the
brilliantly done.
way it was done was fantastic. But
The first time there's no sound in space in the Star Wars film.
yeah, exactly.
But yeah, she didn't deserve to have that scene because she was nobody. They did it because she was the next female powerful female figure.
A little bit
which
heavy-handed,
was to-
all right.
Which was to subdue Poe, and I just thought I would have probably preferred if it was Poe or, like you say, Admiral Akbar. Not because they were men, just because they were more relevant characters. She was a nobody. I got no feeling that she's dead
Yeah,
because
there's
she was a
no-
little bit of a bitch, even though she did it with good intentions.
There's no
No
like
weight.
sacrifice to the plot or anything. She's totally meaningless, like you said. It's just, oh well, we need somebody to crash this into Snoke ship. Random character. There we go. Perfect.
Yeah, basically, they didn't want to kill off a merchandising opportunity by
Yeah,
killing a
but-
character, except for Admiral Akbar. But again, out with the old, another one.
Yeah, but we won't let Admiral Akbar go out in a cool way. We'll just fucking jettison him and just not even consider it. Like it's something you have to remember. Like he's like, oh shit, Admiral Akbar has died. Holy fuck,
Yeah, I mean, they literally didn't even make a thing of it. So it's
Very
so
strange.
bizarre that I don't know.
What was the part of that then? 'Cause I forgot
So
already.
we've got past the blowing up of the dreadnought.
Well,
We've got past
but
the big training.
we've ignored a lot of the Luke Skywalker stuff. So Luke decides to train Rey after R2D2 shows him the old thing of Leia,
Yes.
which I thought was great. I loved that moment.
Well, yeah, it was a really good moment, but it contradicted his entire theme of the film of out with the old. And the only way he could get Luke to do anything was to show him the old and say this is what's at stake. Yet he's binning it off at every opportunity.
I think
So it kind of didn't make sense to a degree.
the theme of the film was out with the old, yeah. But I
Yeah.
think Luke's thing wasn't out with anything old. I think he just wanted out with the Jedi. I mean, like, the Leia thing was more so like, remember why you did all of this to begin with, was to rescue the princess, and she needs your help again, kind of thing.
Hmm.
But
Yeah,
then
I
he
guess,
goes,
yeah. So what's at stake for him? And it
Yeah.
not the Force. It's not.
and he's like, there will be 3 lessons, and I will teach you why the Jedi have to end. And then he leaves the room again.
yeah.
He bursts in, he goes, I'll give you 3 lessons. I'm going to teach you why we start tomorrow. And he just fucks off again. And you're like, oh my God. And Ray starts having chats with Kylo Ren, which I also enjoyed. And that's another good thing for me, was this random Force connection where they could see each other, but not see their surroundings. And at first he's like, tries to use the Force to find out where Luke is. And she's like, you're a monster. And then they slowly start to understand each other a little bit better.
Yes.
I
They
thought
could
that
have
was well
done
done.
that,
Yeah, no, I would agree. I would agree.
Well, it was really well done until we found out why it was done, and I think that was a bit cheap. I think it
What, that-
undermined it a little bit.
That Snoke linked
yeah.
them.
Yeah.
I don't think he did, though, because it happens again after he's dead.
Does it?
When she's boarding the Falcon and he's entering the base,
Oh yeah.
and they look
shit,
at
of
each other,
course.
and then the door closes, and that's to represent her closing the door on him. But the
Yeah,
connection was still there.
Okay.
I thought
So-
initially what was going to happen was that they were going to be brother and sister.
Yeah, that's kind of not the obvious thing, but the kind of.
And that's why the
conventional
connection
thing or whatever.
existed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was like. I do still think she has some relevance.
I still think Luke said Dad, even though Kylo said it's not, that she's got random nobody parents.
And that is my biggest problem with this film. That's the Disneyness of the whole fucking thing.
Yeah, you
Look
come
at
from
every
nothing.
Look at every Disney fucking story. You're a nobody. You come from nothing. And then you... Whereas Star Wars has always been about, and sometimes to its detriment, everything being connected. That there's a destiny, that you're foretold, that you're the chosen one, that you're a special person, that you have this amazing background. And then this movie is like, anyone can use the Force. An orphan kid can
Yeah.
fucking force a broom to his hand.
Yeah.
Rose is a nobody. Do you know what I mean? It's like this. Like every character is just like literally comes from nothing, and can do something magical because it's Disney, and anyone can be a hero, and she doesn't have to be someone important. But it's like, as you said, Ryan Johnson didn't watch the first movie where Rey appears, and they're like, "Who's the girl? Who's the girl? Who's the
Yeah.
girl? Bring me the girl." There's one scene in The Force Awakens where Kylo Ren's like getting angry and he's destroying the computers. And they're like, "I lost the droid." And he starts destroying the computers. And he goes, FN 2187 helped him. He's like, "Oh, I'm angry." And he goes, "Anything else?" And he goes, "Well, there was also a girl." And he just like force chokes the guy. Remember where he puts his hand out and your man's like neck like flies into his hand. And he's like, "A girl?" And it's like, oh shit, he knows this girl.
Yeah.
There is a significance to there being a girl helping them on Jakku.
Mm.
Is she an
But no.
ex-pupil of Luke's? Is she his sister who's had her mind wiped for her own safety after her brother falls? Is she somebody? No. She's nobody.
Well, I still think he's lying because he is, although he has this connection to her, doesn't feel like he needs to be entirely honest with her. He's trying to get her on side by telling her she has no connection, that she's tried to believe, and he's lied to her to try to manipulate her on side. So I still think the leader of the bad guys was lying to the good guy.
Considering JJ is coming back for the 9th one, he set that whole thing up. I would not be surprised, but I don't feel like this was planned at the same time. I think they let Ryan do whatever he wanted, and then JJ's like, "No, you fool, I set this up. Let me fix it now."
Yeah.
And it's like, it's too fucking late. Like, it's too late for me.
I
You
don't
had
know.
your
I've got
chances.
faith in JJ to do something with it, but this is like the new trilogy's Attack of the Clones. There's this middle bump in the road.
That's the thing. It feels like it needs saving. You know, it feels like we need
Yeah.
JJ to come in and be like, "Okay, so
Help me, JJ.
actually,
You're my only hope.
I mean, what's been set
actually,
up
she
really?
is important. You know, like she's somebody who's got a background, and it makes sense for her to have these incredible powers, and not she's not incredibly powerful, but the rate she's picking stuff up at, like compared to most people, is insane. You know, she can fight Kylo Ren in a lightsaber battle when she's just figured out what the fuck a lightsaber is. Like, okay,
Yeah.
she's really powerful, you know?
One thing that's noticeable is that they purposely made her, and this goes back to this thing about they're trying to get rid of the prime masculinity behind the old trilogy, the original trilogy, and try and introduce this powerful female figure, and they literally introduce her into the dark side, and she doesn't understand the attraction. She literally doesn't get it. So even though she can go to and from the dark side freely, she doesn't get the attraction of the dark side. And they
They hinted it though in one of Luke's great lessons. You went straight to the dark. You didn't even hesitate, and then she jumps into the fucking hole or whatever, and she just she sees herself a lot.
Well, I don't know what all that's about, but at the end she clarifies that I don't get the attraction. I don't get why people come here.
I actually read somewhere that the whole, you know, mirrors down below the island and stuff, that was kind of like a manifestation of Luke's vanity or something crazy like that. So, you know, he's got kind of dark elements to him, and the most kind of un-Jedi like thing he does is just be incredibly vain and like
he's the legend.
Yeah, exactly. He's the legend. He's, you know, even when he's like, I can train you know, Jedi's, you know, make my own Jedi Academy. You know, it's probably a little bit of vanity coming in there. You know, he's like, I could do it. I'm the legend, Luke Skywalker. So I seen that, you know, that was kind of the dark festering below him, all the crazy vanity.
Okay. So yeah, it was a representation of Luke.
Yeah.
The thing beneath the surface was Luke's own issues. That's okay. I can roll with that.
Yeah, I tell you what I did like. I liked the fact that there was two different versions of events when Ben's in the academy and
It was
Luke's
3
in his little hut.
Oh
sorry.
that was interesting.
There was the first one. Yeah, there was the first one which set it up. But then there was the two truths that you're given of this is actually what happened. And then the other guy said, well, this is actually what happened. And the only difference is the intent. So Ben saw him strike first, but Luke saw him strike first, and then each defended them.
And it was cool to see Luke's green lightsaber again. I'm raging it was only in flashbacks. I also thought it was cool to see Ben Solo with a blue lightsaber.
Yeah.
Also, another thing, Kylo Ren uses the lightsaber with the 2 exhaust ports, and it's an ancient Jedi design. Who would have known ancient Jedi designs for lightsabers? The first ever Jedi, who could be Snoke, and that would explain why he's using the old one. But considering his blue lightsaber does not have those, so yeah, that's bullshit.
He's
Just
just
want
found it somewhere or
I
whatever.
forgot about them going to the tree. And then he's like, "Oh, the Jedi must end," and he leaves the room. Then he's training her, and she like does the whole Force thing and like lifts up the stones. And then he's like, "I see this power once before," and then leaves the fucking room. Like, this movie is just Luke leaving the scene like constantly, and that's when I realized I was like, I don't like what they're doing here. It just doesn't feel like it's going anywhere. It's constantly just these little bits of information from Luke, and then him storming off again and again and again. And I'm like, what is this?
Well, the part where it says that he, for a split moment, he wanted to kill him during his sleep.
Oh my god! Don't even
Right? Why
start.
would Luke wouldn't do that? Luke even tried to change Darth Vader.
He was the only person that saw any good in Vader.
Yeah,
Yet the second he
his whole
sees a bit of darkness in Ben Solo, he tries to kill him.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's only for a second. It's like, okay, yeah, but your whole character arc was that you nearly killed Darth Vader because of Sidious. You nearly strike him down, and then you fucking stop yourself, and you learn a lesson, and you develop.
Yeah,
You
and
didn't learn anything, apparently.
And you think he'd know that's how you make a bad dude. You almost killed him. It's like it's happened before or something.
Yeah. Was a bit
It's not my Luke Skywalker. And Hamill himself criticized Luke Skywalker. He's gotten a lot of abuse now that the movie's out, and he had to actually retract it and say, I regret putting him out. No, he fucking doesn't. He was looking at it going, that's not. But
Yeah,
of course, you have to subvert the expectations.
It just felt like that was
what
the
were
whole
Luke's
point of the movie. You know?
What was Luke's 3 lessons?
I don't know. I only
don't
saw
know.
one.
So I think the second one was when she was swinging the lightsaber and he was watching her. And then the third one must have been the reason why the Jedi must end. Because Luke Skywalker nearly killed a kid. So therefore, the Jedi have to end.
But didn't that turn into a lesson for Luke when Yoda turned up? Which,
Yeah.
by the way, classic puppet Yoda was a nice touch.
I really liked the Yoda
did
scene.
like that.
I thought the Yoda scene was the most annoying thing for me about Yoda scene was that Luke was going to burn down the tree with a little lighter. he thinks walking up and touching it against the tree is going to burn it down, like. But then Yoda arrives and he's a little fucking dickhead, like the same Yoda I loved from the original trilogy.
Yeah,
he's like, he's like kicking his legs and he's like, "Oh, Skywalker, I missed you," or whatever. I loved that. I loved that.
But the little scene between the two of them was literally the full stop in the out with the old, in with the new. You've inadvertently taught her the lesson she needs by failing yourself, and she's seen failure in you, so and is driven to succeed without.
But is it not upsetting that Luke Skywalker's whole purpose in this new trilogy was to be an absolute fucking failure?
Yes, it is a bit disappointing.
Isn't it?
Preferred, but this again, they want to take away this is just what I'm reading in most of the good reviews, is that the masculine is dying from the. I mean, you look at all the powerful characters in Star Wars, and it's just men with lightsabers having sword fights.
Yeah.
To loud John Williams music.
But that is.
No, there isn't. And I agree. I don't agree with the direction they're taking Star Wars. Create a new space saga, like you say, Carl. Create a new space saga, and do it with
females,
with women in these powerful positions as these female samurais or whatever. But that's where it comes from as well. You never had a female samurai, and some of the roots in the mythology of Star Wars was based in samurais and what was the other thing? I can't remember.
Catholicism.
Yeah, it's I don't know, something.
Probably Bushido or something.
Yes, it was something like that. But there wasn't a female presence. It was the male warrior defending the tribe, almost defending his family, that kind of thing. But I've got nothing against that. But I like
the whole Yoda thing going like, she has nothing. There's nothing in that tree that she does not already have, and he meant like literally she took the books.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that as well at the end. I was like, hey,
So
he's got.
What was the part after that then? The part when she
So then she confronts Luke, and they have this weird fight where he like pulls the antenna off the hut,
For
and they
some
fight
reason.
each other. And then he force stops himself from falling a little bit, and then falls anyway. Like he stops himself and then falls on the ground, and then she
Also, this
storms
was
off
to,
because she's like, "I can turn Ben and save the resistance." We haven't even talked about Finn and Rose.
Well, we'll touch on that in a second. But just on your point, that's his little realization. He still has a reliance on the Force and can't get away from it.
Okay, that's actually fair.
Totally.
Yeah,
nice little.
And he opens himself back up to the Force, and that's when it can appear to him again. And remember, she says, "Oh, you shut yourself off from the Force." Couldn't sense him when she was doing her training.
Yeah.
And then he opens himself back up to it. I thought that was good. One thing pissed me off is we see his X-wing, the old model X-wing, under the water. And in Empire Strikes Back, Luke couldn't lift it out of the water, and Yoda had to do it. So the end of the movie should have been Luke realizing they need him and lifting with ease the X-wing out of the water.
Like, why not? Why not have him do that?
Because you want to show it there so people think that's how it's going to end, because that's typical, and then you subvert the expectation and make him appear as a fucking hologram.
It's like what? Subvert the expectation of the movie being good?
Before we get to the whole Star Trek holodeck,
you flip things up on its head for the sake of doing it.
Let's touch on the casino scene and that whole middle section that you could take out and still have the same film.
The movie, it didn't matter. They did nothing. They failed. They got caught.
They just ran away.
But again, you could touch on your point, subverting the expectations that they were going to come back and save
the day.
Poe's plan was going to be brilliant. So you've got a man leading Rose through this little world, and then you've got a man who's come up with a winning plan, and it all fails, and then the women have to save the day.
Because they're stupid men. Or whatever.
And, I mean, maybe some of the reviews are looking too much into it, but that's what people are taking away. That you can't always rely on men. Women have got.
I didn't notice that.
But don't ruin
the thing is, when I say the movie is disjointed, they build all this stuff up, and then it all just doesn't work. And I get what they're doing, and I get the point they're trying to do. I just don't like it. I don't like the point they're trying to do.
Yeah, it feels like they're kind of building, well, not even suspense, not even in the least bit suspenseful, but like feels like they're building up to something that you could look forward to, and then, like you said, they just subvert it, totally change it, and it's like all that build up was for nothing. The build up itself wasn't even that good, and even if the things that happened that you were building up for, if they happened, you'd be like, okay, this is good, but it's not what I would have wanted. But then they're just like, nah, fuck it, we'll just do whatever. It's so strange.
It literally dismantled your expectations of old Star Wars. And it stops it at every point. You think, oh, this is where they've succeeded, and now they get to do their bit, like taking the shields down on the Death Star.
Yeah,
the two different teams. Yeah, they succeeded, so we get to blow it up. Yay, it all works. And it's like, no, that's not happening in the Star Wars film. They fail, but in doing so, create this new wave of children resistance fighters, which can use the Force somehow.
All three of them on that.
Yeah. And then there's the failure on Poe's plan, which I don't know. Yeah, every turn he's cancelling the old Star Wars flavor.
He's getting learned.
Yeah. That part with the fucking weird beast that race around, that looked fake as shit.
Oh, there was that scene where they're riding on them. And remember Force Awakens came back. Facts. And then that whole scene, everything in that scene was CGI.
Yeah, it was strange.
And I was like, why?
I don't know. I got the Kanye West video Bound 2. It's just
oh god,
it's like that.
I know you're tired.
It looked like that.
I don't know this. I don't know.
It's the worst. The lyrics are shit. The video is shit.
It's Kanye
West. Nobody.
I'll have a look. So rather than talk about the casino scene, we're just singing Kanye West songs. Which I would have been more entertained with.
The Canto Bite thing serves to teach us a bad lesson. That all these rich people make money fighting, and all the war you've been fighting this whole time is pointless, and it's just serving these rich people who sell to the both sides, and you shouldn't join in wars. There's grey areas, man.
That was the only purpose to Benicio del Toro,
who had this list.
What was that
What?
about?
You told me earlier that you thought he was great, and I was like, he's like,
Not his character.
You can see
but
my
his
toes
character.
through my socks, and I've got my boots. No.
The best thing.
What?
The best thing about it was the fact that Benicio del Toro took $1 million off Disney for nothing. Just rocked up to set one day. I didn't say his character was the best thing. Just
Probably did the same in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Hey Benicio, we need you in Star Wars. Yeah, but I ain't doing fuck all. And pay me $1 million. Okay, great. Give me some boots to throw over my shoulder.
Speaking about subverting expectations, the shady, disloyal, untrustworthy guy who was stealing ships betrayed them. Oh wow! Subvert my expectation on that one.
Who was in a jail cell when they met? He seems trustworthy.
But then fucking, let's go to the part after that.
Hang on, wait a minute. What about the master codebreaker who's still out there?
Yeah, the dude with the flower lapel.
Yeah,
and
he's just again subverting the expectation there. You know,
it's like
it would be great if that part was Lando, and they didn't realize, and then they managed to get this guy in the jail.
Oh my god! Yeah, if they're like flower lapel, and like you don't see the guy's face or something, and then they get caught, and it zooms out, and it's fucking Billy D.
Lando.
Yeah, he's like, huh? And they're like, what's wrong? He goes, what have we here? And you're like,
and it just like carries on rolling the dice or whatever.
Yeah, that would
have been
amazing. That would have been amazing.
But this is what he's got away from, isn't it? It's just destroying the old Star Wars. So he'd never do something. Never do something like that.
And then you've got Phasma, who turns up for like 2 minutes.
Yeah, who survived the trash compactor through a Marvel.
Yeah.
Like, why is she
in her comic? In her comic, she's put in the trash compactor, and then like she escapes, and then kills a load of First Order troops to cover up the fact that she'd betrayed the First Order, and like fights her way back in.
Yeah.
But that's not explained. She's just suddenly back again.
Yeah,
for reasons.
So that Finn can have someone to fight.
Well, I'm not being funny, but why was that woman Phasma? Why did they have to pay a big time woman?
It made literally no sense. Like, she was in so much of the artwork for the movies, and like, like relatively hyped, I guess you could say.
Yeah,
but
I don't get why.
Big actor, big actress. But then it's just like, we're gonna use her for like 3 scenes.
Yeah,
so was Boba Fett. She's a Boba Fett.
Where's a Boba Fett?
But who played Boba Fett?
Well, at least she fought somebody. Boba Fett got killed by a blind guy bumping into his jetpack.
Yeah,
every time.
Yeah, that was the only light dark fight scene, I think. Was Finn and that woman?
Yeah, because once again, subvert the expectations. No lightsaber duel.
Yeah, not one lightsaber fight. Like
there was Luke and Kylo Ren, but Luke actually never touches him because he's a hologram. But anyway, let's just go back. So they do their Canto Bight bullshit. It's bullshit. Whatever. Phasma starts happening. Holdo's like, I had a plan all along, and Leia's back now. And one thing I did like was Leia using the stun to hit Poe because she gets stunned at the beginning of A New Hope.
Yeah,
the exact same effect with like the circles. I like that. And then Rey arrives and she thinks she's going to turn Ben, and he's like, "Oh, gotcha, you got fooled," and like leads him up to Snoke. And you have this scene with Snoke where he's like very confident and convinced that Ben's going to kill her, and he finds out where Luke is, and you think, okay, now he's going to hunt down Luke and blah blah blah. But then all gets flipped on its head. He never actually tells Ben where Luke was, and then he gets betrayed, and like the lightsaber cuts him in half, which I thought was cool. Getting cut in half, it looked pretty cool the way it happened.
But it was a waste, wasn't it? We wanted to see.
I liked when Rey tried to pull the lightsaber towards her, and then he like pulled it past her and around and hit her on the head.
Yeah,
came back.
yeah. You just
look at him like she has no hope against this guy. Like he is supremely powerful.
Yeah,
but you find out nothing about him.
But then they dismantle that thought in your head. You've got this impression that he is unstoppable, and he just gets sliced in half by a lightsaber that's next to him.
Yeah, like his own apprentice, he doesn't know his intentions.
Don't hear it.
Yeah, it's a bit of an anti-climax. Everything was an anti-climax. Oh my god, this is about to happen, but it's not really.
What I would have loved, right? Like Luke leaves and he gets on his X-wing and follows her, and arrives when the walkers are coming, and like his X-wing comes down and starts shooting the walkers, and he's such a good pilot that he weaves in and out of the legs of the fucking walkers and dismantles a few of them or something. And they're like, "Oh, Luke is here," and Ben tried to kill Snoke with the lightsaber, and then him like ignite the lightsaber, and Snoke stopped the fucking lightsaber. Imagine that. Like, imagine the lightsaber starts to extend, and he force stops the lightsaber from igniting, which has never been seen before. That would have been badass.
It just breaks his skin, and then he stops it, so he's semi-wounded.
Sure, but he's already like dying. Apparently, visual dictionary. He's kept alive by these aliens that you see very briefly in one scene that have elongated brains, and they are native to outside the galaxy. That Snoke met these aliens outside the galaxy, and they have the ability to track hyperspace, which is how he can do it, which is never explained in the movie. Yeah, and they are keeping him alive. So people thought that he was keeping people alive by absorbing the Force from them, like eating their Force powers. And like he was the first Jedi and all this shit. But do something with him, have some reveal, and then have Ben or Rey like escape or something and keep him alive and give us some backstory and make us fear him and make him somewhat relevant. Don't tell me his life story, but if you tell me he's the first Jedi who's existed outside the galaxy, I'm fucking in. That makes sense. That's something we've never seen before. That's new. That's crazy. That's something awesome. You can latch Luke onto. Will have someone to fight, a final adversary to, like have a character arc where he comes back and he's.
And then he dies. Obviously, he has to die, and then Rey's in for the next film.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
but anyway, that doesn't happen
by Ben Solo to take him on in a twofer, like the old Duel of the Fates.
Yeah. But I mean, the part where Luke does appear, then he sees Leia, gives her the fucking dice, what the fuck they are.
Yeah,
which meant nothing until this movie. I mean, they are in beforehand, but
just a trinket off the Falcon.
Yeah.
But then, do you know when he appears outside and he's like, "Oh, I want everything," and then he I thought, right, this is the part where the film does it for me and gets really good. But no, I thought here we go. It's gonna be like fucking Neo, like dialed up to 11. That's what I was hoping. He's like blocking all these laser blasts. Like a big ball of lasers.
I would have, yes. Oh my god, that's what I was hoping as well. Stop the lasers and blow up all of the fucking walkers with their own.
And then he just walks slowly with his lightsaber out. No, he just walks slowly, gets his lightsaber.
Dusts off his shoulder as well.
Yeah. When that happened, I was like, oh man, it's fucking going down.
Yeah, he doesn't get his lightsaber up to the last minute for like just the killing strike.
Yeah, and I thought, this is it. But then
so before that, you have the Force pull with Rey and Kylo, and they break the lightsaber. I know even before that, they have the cool fight with the guards. That was a cool fight, right? Like we liked that fight.
Yeah.
That was the best thing about it. But it was still
even then it was mediocre compared to every lightsaber fight you've seen in the prequels, which was just ballet.
The fact
it was just shit. It was average.
It was one of those guys, Tom Hardy, as well. Apparently.
Yeah, apparently.
Oh, really?
I heard that. It's going to be on the DVD.
Anyway, that happens, and then it blows up, and then happens, and she gets rescued. So she apparently escapes. Hux tries to kill Kylo, which I thought was cool. He has a moment where he's going to shoot Kylo and he's knocked out.
Yeah, and then it comes to, doesn't he?
Yeah,
but how has Rey escaped? That's not.
Oh, she escaped using Snoke's shuttle, and then suddenly she's back on the Falcon again.
Yeah. That was strange.
And then the Falcon comes in and diverts the attention, and they're all kiddie things, and Finn should have died, and then Luke appears, and then
as soon as he turned up, I saw the fact that he was the same state he was when.
Yeah. And I thought that's a bit weird. That's a bit weird. He trimmed his beard, and suddenly it's not grey anymore. But then he had the broken lightsaber. He had Anakin's lightsaber on his belt, and I said that to Gary. I turned to Gary and I was like, "Gary, that's the wrong lightsaber." Gary's like, "Oh fuck."
Kylo Ren should have noticed that when he was fighting him. He's like, "Oh no, this must be a hologram."
He's like, "Didn't you use a green lightsaber when you tried to kill me?"
Yeah.
Apparently, I've forgotten that pivotal scene.
Yeah. It just felt like a bit of, again, a waste, and they subverted your expectations. I don't know the purpose. I mean, the purpose of this film was destroy the old Star Wars, and there's a lot of people out there who love it, who love the new direction it's going in, where it feels like a more inclusive film where you can come from nothing. Like you say, like a Disney formula. You can come from nothing, and you can be sitting at the top of the galaxy as the most powerful Jedi now.
Makes no fucking sense,
Yeah,
though. Does
if
it?
you want
know?
that, go
In
watch
the-
a fucking
yeah,
Disney film
in
or
the-
something else.
In the previous
Give us our
7
fucking
films,
Star Wars.
it makes no sense. Why decide to do it halfway through a new trilogy, which is in areas better than the old new trilogy,
I mean, the prequels.
the prequels, yeah, episode 1 to 3. I don't know. It's gonna take a lot to bring that back. Like I got an opinion on this one from the son, who is a film director, whose father directed Return of the Jedi. And even he said that wasn't a great film. The long and short of it wasn't a great film. Let me see if I can get his opinion up while I'm talking about it.
So
he says the second half was better than the first, which was pretty poor. Most of the central character plot lines were complete red herrings, which made the film feel disjointed and pointless. But it was enjoyable enough for a night of mindless entertainment. Long term, if Disney are going to get longevity out of their golden IP, they need to do much better.
this is Ryan Johnson's kid.
It's who, sorry?
This is Ryan Johnson's kid.
No. This is the son of the director of Return of the Jedi.
Oh, who directed Return of the Jedi again? What was his name?
I can't remember his name.
He did Empire and Return of the Jedi.
I don't know if he did both.
No, I think they return.
Oh, okay. Which was also a bit distorted
Richard
with the fucking
Richard
Ewoks,
Marquand,
like,
yeah.
He
Richard
can't, really, he
Marquand.
can't really talk like about first and second halves when the second half of your film was teddy bears, throwing stones at lads in armor and killing them.
We're dead. Ugh.
Yeah, he only did Return of the Jedi.
So just to kind of wrap things up a little bit here, the rebels now are small enough to fit on one ship, and no
Yes.
one is interested in helping them.
Yeah, essentially.
Oh god, that little scene there was we've sent the signal out, but no one's coming, and then the other person like reiterates. So it's like, we've sent the message out, but they don't want to help us.
Yeah.
I mean, you're just paraphrasing what the other person fucking said.
Yeah.
What the fuck are you on about?
Yeah.
We're not idiots. We can get what they've said by that point.
Like
Yeah.
third person
was-
turns around. It's like, I've sent out a transmission.
Yeah, it's like
It seems like anyone's receiving it. Oh my god.
like
But-
Chinese whispers. By the end of it, Chewbacca's just going.
And then the fucking
God,
phones
imagine.
come in. But yeah, it's to get rid. It's to show the fact that Galaxy doesn't want the Resistance anymore. But I
yeah,
don't know
but then
why.
also the First Order's fleet have been decimated by the Lightspeed bomb.
Yeah.
So, like, is there anybody to fight anymore?
There's Kylo Ren and a handful of fucking people, and that's it.
Just the politicians who are selling arms to nobody now.
It's
Yeah,
just
like
Like
useless.
Resistance skin.
It just leaves me not excited for anything. Like,
Yeah.
Where's
Ben
the
Solo is
film
now your
gonna
big bad guy, right? He's irredeemable. That's what we've
I-
learned, right? Like,
I-
we're saying
I-
we can kill him now. He's not coming. Accepted that. That's done. So you've got Rey versus Ben, and like, what else is going to happen?
That's
Probably
it.
something
There is no
with
one
Finn.
else.
Definitely.
Yeah, Chewbacca and his little fucking Porg sidekick going around doing fucking the milk run. I don't know.
So there's literally one bad guy. There's literally just Kylo Ren now.
No, we have
Yeah.
Hux. We have Hux.
Is he still alive?
Yeah, he was alive. Yeah.
Oh, he's
Okay.
going even more
So
sniveling
there's
weaselly.
so there's a sniveling Hutt, and then there's Kylo Ren.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, there
So
was something
Finn's gonna
that
kill
occurred
Hux.
to me about Hux. You know the way when he was given his speech in Force Awakens, it like I think we said it like at the start of the podcast. It was quite kind of Nazi-ish.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just the
Yes.
kind of general feel of it. I literally not once during this movie got that feel ever. You know,
No.
there was no like big overarching power. Like even Snoke was just chilling in his robes.
Mhm.
Whatevs. Like he's not like a big giant head with a cloaked face. You know, he's not
Yeah.
imposing really. He's just like, haha, I'm wise, and
Yeah.
on a chair.
It's 2017. We can't have any like Nazi
Yeah, exactly.
like shown, even if it
That's
is
like
bad.
why the fuck not? Like that's the first
Yeah.
movie where like these guys are essentially fascists. You know, like
Mhm.
if you look
Yeah.
at the core values of what they've been doing, it pretty much lines up. But then this movie, they're like, let's just chase them, whatever, fuck it, you know. It's
But
so
then,
weird.
I don't know, man.
Where's it leading now? What's the next?
I don't
film
think they
gonna
know.
be?
They're just winging it, aren't they?
What's JJ going to pull out the bag? Because it has to have some kind of epic finish.
They're going to crash
They
land
can't
on
just-
fucking Lost Island.
It can't just What's this hatch? We're all dead. Spoiler alert, Carl.
Yeah, I ain't seen it yet.
They weren't all dead.
So
Well,
so yeah, I don't know where the next, because I don't think they're gonna have this epic fight. I think they're gonna draw it out, and they're
Yeah,
gonna finish
it
this
seems that
trilogy,
way.
then create this new trilogy with new.
It's going to be a time jump, and it's going to be like, oh, all these new first Force users are there, and Rey can use the Force now, and she's
Oh,
built
shit.
a lightsaber, and yeah.
There has to be another government that's in place while all these people are selling all these things to everybody. There has to be some kind of government that's emptying the bins in the casino, and there's some kind of council somewhere which has got a health service somewhere for all the injuries and all the vets that work for all the pets. There has to be some kind of government structure.
But I mean, the
in
Force
Rogue.
Awakens would lead you to believe that would be the First Order. Like, they're not
Yes.
as big as the Empire were, but, well, were they? No, they would be smaller.
No, they're much smaller, much smaller.
Yeah. But, you would kind of think that there's some kind of governmental power or whatever.
They were basically a terrorist organization in The Force Awakens that then it'd be like a terrorist organization just blew up every politician in America or something. Like, America would be still bigger and more powerful, but in turmoil while the terrorists moved in. Except apparently that's not it, because you destroyed all of the fleet as well, because apparently the entire Republic fleet are hanging out on like 4 planets in the entire galaxy
for no fucking reason.
The thing is, the full story felt like nothing happened. A big ship was getting chased by a fleet of ships,
and they couldn't catch him.
Yeah, and they're just
because
shooting fucking shields
because they were smaller and lighter in space.
So strange, like.
Yeah, that's bizarre, isn't it?
Why not just jump one ship to light speed for like a fraction of a second? And
just go in front of them. Maybe.
Why didn't they just load up all the smaller vessels to begin with?
Oh, they explained that the smaller vessels can't carry enough fuel to make a full flight over there. Remember, they tell Kylo Ren to come back because he was too far away from the ship, so his fuel wouldn't let him return. Even though in space, if you accelerate and then stop,
you just keep going.
Yeah.
But hey, whatever.
Yeah,
Also,
but that ship creates its own gravity, doesn't it? So there's that to remember.
But that's just inside.
Who cares about science?
Fuck it. We'll just go with the fiction.
Yeah, I thought that The Force Awakens I think The Force Awakens for me would have been a good or bad movie depending on what was done afterwards. Like, if the questions it posed had good answers and stuff.
But it left good questions as well. There was some stuff that they really could have.
That's what I'm saying.
It
asked great questions, and if it had answered them with like Rey and Snoke and Luke and all this mystery, and then it just didn't give us anything.
Yeah.
Wasn't it effectively the same story as one of the original films?
Yeah, New Hope.
It was basically that. So
Force Awakens,
yeah. So why do that, and then in the next one completely decimate everything you've ever known about Star Wars?
Yeah.
It makes no sense to me. I don't know why Ryan's getting so much praise for the film and the new direction it's taking it in. They take it in that direction, but finish. But everywhere now, the review scores on average are 8 and 9 out of 10.
That's just crazy. Look at all the fans and the.
Well, I spoke to a fan yesterday, and he speaks very positive of it as well. I couldn't get enough information out of him because of where we were as to why, but everyone's enjoying it. Well, I say everyone. There are a lot of people out there who are enjoying.
There's also a petition.
Yeah, it's literally split down the middle on user score on Rotten Tomatoes. It's like 52%.
I think that's what it is.
No, but the Rotten Tomatoes score is 91%.
And Metacritic's 86 right now.
Users?
No,
not users. Fans. No. Yeah, I mean the fans. If you look at the score, fans hate it.
So for me, take it in this new direction, but finish the trilogy that you were starting to make first. And finish
Ryan Johnson is writing and directing an entirely new trilogy.
Yeah,
in the middle of an
based on the fact that he just I've had fun making this Star Wars film. I'd like to do it again. Oh, okay, we'll let you do it. What are you going to do? But you can do it.
So is he? Hang on, just so he is making a new trilogy,
entirely new trilogy. Yeah,
51% of Rotten Tomatoes liked it, so 49% disliked it.
Yeah,
hey, that's Brexit right there.
In the minority.
Yeah, Brexit.
We'll call it Star Wars Brexit. The last Brexit. In fact, that's what I'm going to name the video when this goes up. Yeah, the Brexit Awakens. Oh, Theresa May, what the fuck?
Let's just blame it on her.
Snoke is Theresa May.
But yeah, I mean, I've only seen it once, and I don't feel compelled to watch it again. What's annoying me right now is you got all these other reviews, people defending it, looking too deep into it. Oh, this Kylo Ren's the best villain ever because he understands both love and evil have to exist, and blah blah blah. That's why it's a great film. I'm like, no, you can't just like cherry pick little things and look at the connotations of things and say it's a good film because something you're not looking into, you're the problem. The film's just shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people defending it with like kind of very meta stuff as well. Like, I seen one that I can't even remember her name. Fucking, purple hair lady takes over.
Admiral Hodo.
Yeah, Laura Dern. I don't know the name.
Holdo.
Holdo. Okay, sorry. But yeah, so you see a ton of people that are like, Holdo was actually, really, really wise, and she, telling Poe could have potentially aired that plan to a spy that was on the ship. And it's like, have you ever seen a Star Wars movie? Like, what the fuck? It's so weird. Like,
what you see is what you get, except for when it is his dad. That's it.
True.
Yeah, I don't know. There was loads of bits which could have worked quite well, like all the little flip, the bits where they flip it on their head, like when Leia walks back in, and he thinks he's saved, and she fucking shoots him. Some bits could have worked quite well in a different, broader context.
Yeah, like they didn't need to change the whole direction of the film just to suit his style. He could have, maybe he did, maybe he felt he needed to, but
like
in my
every
mind,
turn,
disappointed. In my mind, it could have kept the same kind of formula, like we said, like it seems like this trilogy, or like it seemed like this trilogy was gonna have.
Yeah.
Because like you start the first movie in a very, very similar way. You would expect the rest of them to be relatively similar, and obviously there'll be differences, so it's not just the same shit over and over and over. But like you said, it's just every turn and every little thing is just totally different, and it kind of almost tricks you into believing that it won't be totally different, and then it's like boom, something stupid has happened, and you're like, oh well, okay.
I don't get it.
Has George Lucas aired his opinions yet on it?
I haven't seen anything.
I'd like to see what he thinks of what they've done to his characters.
He won't give a shit, although he gets writing credit for every film because their character's based on story by George Lucas.
The best comparison I got for this is this is what 343 are doing to Halo when they took over from Bungie. They just fucking ruined all the characters.
Yeah, it feels like they've changed their mind halfway through and decided to make different films, but they're already in a trilogy. So the next film, if people are calling this film a masterpiece,
they're wrong.
I think the next film has to be the best film ever made for it to pull the trilogy back together.
Yeah, or close to it anyway.
Either way, I'm not interested. I might go see it. I don't know. I'm not gonna.
I think we owe it to Star Wars to see it, but then that's it. That's the trilogy done.
Not to Disney though. Don't owe it to Disney.
Not to Disney, no. I think just to Star Wars.
Which is a shame because they've done such a good job with the Marvel universe at the moment.
So apparently, George Lucas.
Sorry, go on, George Lucas.
Apparently, George Lucas thought Rian Johnson's The Last Jedi was beautifully made. That's all he said.
That doesn't sound like he's got a fucking blaster to his head.
Doesn't sound like he's seen the movie.
Yeah. He's just seen the trailer.
His rep said that Lucas thought it was beautifully made. Wow. Okay.
Okay then, guys. Any final thoughts on Star Wars: The Last Jedi?
There's nothing else I can say.
I mean, I did have some final thoughts, but then they got subverted, so
I'm going to give it one more watch.
I enjoyed it substantially more the second time round. I know I've ranted for the past hour and a half, but I watched it again and I actually found myself enjoying the moments because I knew what was going to happen, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you're not ready for something else.
I wasn't like, I'm waiting for the first Jedi reveal. that X-wing, and I'm waiting for Obi-Wan Kenobi to appear.
Yeah, that would have been cool if they'd had,
Ryan Johnson
like a
spoke about
CGI Alec Guinness.
Ryan Johnson said he was strongly considering getting Ewan McGregor to play an older Obi-Wan in it.
Well, they want him back for the spin-off, don't they?
Yeah, but he said that he didn't have a place in the movie.
In the new universe.
But I mean, I was half expecting fucking Hayden Christensen to be in it as well, actually.
Yeah.
No,
I'm
because
fucking surprised,
he
yeah.
appeared at the Star Wars convention first time since Revenge of the Sith this year.
Yeah, I guess he could have been a Force ghost, right?
He was he's
Yeah.
canonically the Force ghost now.
He's now, according to Lucas, fucking ruining again.
Yeah. Yep, he's canonically the Force ghost, so it would have made sense for him to appear. I still kind of expect him maybe to appear in.
I wouldn't
next
be
one.
surprised.
But Luke does say to Kylo, "I'll see you around, kid," before he disappears and becomes one with the Force. So, he's definitely going to be Hamill will definitely be in the next one as Luke, as a Force ghost.
Oh yeah.
Hopefully, he'll use the same lighting effect that Yoda used to set things on fire.
Yeah,
it's just
change the weather with the Force.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Okay, well, thanks for joining us. Episode of the Mountains of Madness podcast. This has been the Star Wars Last Jedi special. If you disagree with us or agree with us, let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like the video, even if we completely go against your opinion. Don't dislike us, because that will make Carl cry, and we don't want Carl to cry.
You won't like it when I cry.
You won't like me when I cry.
God damn it.
Thanks everybody, and great day. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, we did it without me telling anybody to do it. That's great.